One way or another, you have to learn to appreciate autumn and take in the beauty that autumn offers as a season. Similar way, you have to take in the beauty which these silver birch are also offering. I love the way silver birch go this beautiful canary yellow, and it's showing really well on these particular silver birches. Silver birch, the younger trees have suffered to a large degree, especially those trees that are growing in open sunshine, not offered any protection by neighbouring trees. But these, in this particularly warm section of Clipsnell Quarter, seem to have come through the very hot summer that we had very well indeed. There's a little bit of leaf loss and trees that have been affected further down, but these are doing really well. And these silver birches here now are getting on towards 20 years old. 2005 there was still the fence line along here, and it was still pine trees in this bit, so all this is new growth in that time. But in this light, we're now just starting to get a bit of early October sunlight. They look absolutely beautiful. I do love silver birch, it's a cracking tree, and to me it beats the oak hands down. I do love this particular path at Clipsnell Quarter. It effectively runs from Clipsnell Quarter into Blackpool Plantation and up towards the Blackpool. I've walked it and featured it many times on this channel, and no doubt it'll get featured many times again, because it is just a lovely stretch of woodland. It's probably my favourite stretch of forest track anywhere within the Sherwood Forest NNR, to be honest. And although I do love silver birches, I'm one of the few people that seems to love silver birches, it doesn't mean to say that I don't appreciate the oak. Far from it, I do appreciate the oak. I just think it's overrated a lot of the time. Because one of the important things that I've always tried to get over to people is that the humble silver birch, with all the conservation organisations and Forestry England absolutely hate with a vengeance, actually hosts more moths than the oak does. Yet they'll never mention that. You'll get the familiar, well, the oak, the English oak, holds 2,000 or so species of invertebrates. It may well do, but silver birch still holds and hosts more species of moths than the oak does. Both, though, are really nice trees. And one of the things that I like about this lovely ride here is that the oaks complement the silver birch and vice versa. One thing the silver birch has over the oak, produces far better autumn colour. On the oak, it's very easy to miss the brief hint of coloration during the autumn. But one of the things I really do like about the oak is that in front of you, next to the superb seed of the horse chestnut, the infamous conker, I think acorns are probably my second favourite. It's an absolutely wonderful thing. It's almost nature's egg in an egg cup, so to speak. Beautiful. I remember at primary school, I can remember it, just about, and we were sometimes on a Friday afternoon we would be asked to, especially autumn time, go out and collect some leaves or some autumn fruits. We used to love doing that as kids. I don't suppose they do it anymore now. But acorns, they are beautiful and they're very tactile as well. It's an incredible seed. The bird you can hear is a chiff-chaff, which is typically shut up. Oh no, that's a typical autumn call that you'll hear quite often in your garden if you've got a decent amount of foliage or there's trees nearby. That's the call. The call of a bird that'll be steadily winging its way south, but philosps like chiff-chaff and willow warbler, they tend to hop south more than fly in one big rush. Especially chiff-chaffs, they sort of amble through the countryside, so to speak. But it's a sound that you typically associate with autumn. Most of the migrants that bred in Sherwood Forest are already well on the way back, but chiff-chaffs take it a bit more leisurely. Now that's an unusual view. I think it's a first for me. Just shows you what fabulous trees these old ancients are. And this is looking up the mushroom tree. It's a very characteristic tree, this. I do like it. But along this stretch here, a couple of trees have suffered and lost a good sort of 30% of their limbs. It's all down to the dry weather that we experienced. But a lot of the trees in the forest have dropped large limbs, or quite large limbs. It's quite a common thing that they do, especially in years of dry weather such as we've had. But hopefully one large limb won't come off this in the next 10 seconds. Late in the season is a good time to look for leaf mines on oak. There are a number of leaf miners, not all of them unfortunately identifiable by the mine, especially if that mine is unoccupied, but this is a gallery mine, beautifully backlit by the autumn sun. It's an old mine, so all I can tell you is that it's one of the stigmellas. But it's worth looking on oaks because you'll find a number of species, several Phalaenopteras and several stigmellas, all waiting to be discovered. This particular stretch of this path between Clipston Old Quarter and the Black Pool holds a fabulous memory, and I think personally it was my highlight of 2022, and I haven't even done a highlights video yet or even planned one, thought about one. Tends not to stick in the old sawduster. But I was with Nick and Samantha Brownlee, I think it was June. We walked down here, just stopped at the mushroom oak, which I call the mushroom oak after its shape. It has that sort of mushroom capped appearance. While Nick and myself were gabbing away like two old women, Samantha pointed out a swarm of bees on this small oak behind my big head. I was stunned for words, although thinking about it now I might have gone back to using some Anglo-Saxon that I learned at primary school. I'd never seen a swarm of bees before. I'd waited a whole lifetime, or the best part of 60 years, to see one. I'd narrowly missed seeing them on a couple of occasions. I can remember once down Lamley when I was knee-high to a honeybee, so to speak. But I'd never seen a swarm out in the open until this particular day. And what a day it was as well, to stand so close to a swarm of bees. I think it's the standout moment of the year for me. So while I'm in a generous and reminiscent mood, I'm going to show you again. A bit on it. It was brilliant. A once-in-a-lifetime experience. My only regret, I didn't put my hand into it. I should have done. There's a lot of people that would like me to have done, I can tell you that now. Just walking down from Blackpool Plantation towards Clipston Old Quarter, and I was remarking to Nick and Samantha Brownlee, who I'm with today, that there was a honeybee nest in an old oak just at the back of me. Little did I realise that there's a swarm of bees less than 3 feet from me. Now, I'm not going to do the really silly thing, apart from standing right next to the swarm of bees, of putting my hand into the swarm, showing that they won't sting. I'm not entirely stupid. But it's quite interesting that there's almost 2 swarms. There's the main swarm here that undoubtedly holds the queen. At the far end of this branch, might be out of shot, there's a smaller swarm, and they're all now literally making a beeline for this larger swarm. But this has to be one of nature's true spectacles. And it's surprising because the humming and the buzzing from these, and there's obviously several thousand honeybees in here, is actually incredibly silent. And before we'd spotted these, we were stood about 5 yards away, never even realised. If it had been a moth egg, I'd have seen it from 10 yards away. But a swarm of thousands of honeybees, couldn't see it. What an incredible experience. You'll notice now there's the main swarm of honeybees there, and just off bottom right of your screen there's a tiny swarm which is now getting smaller and smaller as they ascend that branch to join the main swarm. There's lots of not coming and going. Most of the bees seem to be arriving and joining the swarm rather than leaving. This is quite remarkable. This is an ambition of mine. It always has been since I was a child. I remember several times missing swarms that were close to where I lived, and I was always a few minutes too late. This is my very first experience of a swarm of wild honeybees. Yet again, the wonderful Sherwood Forest has helped me achieve an ambition in nature. It may not be many people's idea of an ambition to be sat within 2-3 feet of a swarm of probably 10,000 or so honeybees. But nature's remarkable nevertheless. This has to be one of the most fantastic sights we have in UK natural history.